Alrighty, happy signing day, part 2, Dan. This is PA High School Football Report. Shout out to our awesome sponsor, that is OSS Health, and of course, the good folks at PennLive.com. I am award-winning sports writer Eric Epler. He's award-winning sports writer and thrilled New England Patriots.
Don't call me New York. Never call me a New York.
Trying to get you to jump on the Giants, brother. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or you go to the dark side.
Yeah, that's gonna be a no for me.
That's okay. That's a hard no.
Yeah.
What's going on, Dan? How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. You know, it's kind of the dog days of the basketball season, right? You're getting these weeks where some teams are done, some aren't.
Yes.
Got a big game in Chocolatetown on Thursday night. Milton Hershey for a division title is that's always a fun one. So, but yeah, it's trying to keep my heat bill is down. My heat bill right now is ridiculous. Like, I don't know if I know you're a homeowner, so it's probably even higher for you. But
I mean, yeah, I keep it cold though. I don't really like.
It doesn't even matter. It's my place has to work so hard to even keep it cold at this point. So I'm paying for a 1-bedroom apartment. I'm paying more than I'm willing to share on a podcast. So,
well, if it's any consolation, turn around that sweet lid of yours. Just show the people.
Oh yeah, I'm wearing
that sweet hat.
Yeah, I was hoping you were. I don't like the flat tops. That's why I wear them backwards, because the flat top kind of accentuates how big my head is. But
you got to bend it, brother. You just got to bend it.
Yeah,
bend it a little bit. You can't flat
big spring baseball hat.
That is a fabulous big spring lid. The one I have is all white. It's scintillating. It's fabulous. All right, so we, in case I didn't say it, we're chatting here today on a Wednesday, also known as the second National Signing Day. It is February 4th, where some more football recruits sign for their scholarships, and we'll go over a bunch of mid-pen guys rowing that boat in just a minute or two. But first, Dan, Super Bowl Sunday now just 4 days away. Are you going to just homerize the whole thing, spectacle in Santa Clara, Dan, and take the points, or what?
I've got a couple rules. My first thing is, I think every Patriots Super Bowl, I am an emotional hedger of the biggest degree, and it's worked out pretty well. I remember the thing is, the emotional hedge doesn't actually make you feel better. Like
No.
When the Patriots were down 28-3 to the Atlanta Falcons, I wasn't saying, "Oh, great, here's $100." I was saying this is one of the worst games of my life. And then when they won, I didn't care that I lost money. So I do my whole experience of this is when the matchup first kind of revealed itself, I was like, well, I think the Patriots are a worse team. I think they're going to lose. And then the line comes out, it's 4.5, which isn't that big, but it's pretty big for a Super Bowl line. Super Bowl lines tend to be kind of close because Vegas gets so much action. They just want stuff on both sides. And I think it's the biggest line in 5 or 6 years. I think it's the biggest line since Patriots-Eagles going against Nick Foles. But as more people have kind of come out, and it seems like the vast majority of people think the Seahawks are just going to roll, I'm starting to feel a little better about it as a Patriots fan, because I just never like, maybe it's because as a Patriots fan, I've seen the Patriots lose these games when everyone was picking them, like the 2 Giants Super Bowls and the Eagles Super Bowl. But I don't know, this Patriots team keeps games close. They don't win in sexy ways in the playoffs, but they're physical, and I mean, it's house money for them too. Both teams really, but the Patriots are pretty house money right now.
It's not house money once you get there, though.
It isn't.
But this
I'm
is
talking long term. I'm talking. There's not like a legacy on the line here.
You're talking about as a fan.
Yeah. And it's not like when Tom Brady would make a Super Bowl. Every Super Bowl was life or death, because one Super Bowl loss would be an argument against him, and the arguments with Montana and Manning and everything. With a 23-year-old Drake May, it's like, he made a Super Bowl as a 23-year-old. I don't think anyone's going to judge him if he doesn't win it. So it's a little bit of a different experience for the Patriots. But I think it'll be a good game. I think it's going to be a closer game. I don't understand these calls for blowouts, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think it'll be played in the 20s, maybe the teams.
Well, I think everybody's a little bit spooked on because of last
year.
Yeah. I mean, that was not supposed to be a blowout by any stretch of the imagination, but it turned into that way, and Patrick Mahomes is on the wrong side of it.
Yeah. People are
So,
off on the Patriots a little bit too because they've played in really bad weather the last 3 weeks, and now they're in beautiful California. So
right.
as long as they're not near the electromagnetic stations that are destroying the San Francisco 49ers, they should be good.
Well, my algorithm says 6. The line
6.
should be 6, 6, or 6.5. But
So you're on the Seahawks.
no, I will take the points.
Oh.
I think New England can win this game. I think the house money players are off the mark here. I think I read somewhere something like mid 70% of the money's on Seattle. When I see that, I
You
tend
can
to
never go wrong taking the points in the Super Bowl. I feel like you just can't how like.
Traditionally, I think you're right, but like I said, I think last year it was like I had a good Super Bowl last year, really good.
Yeah,
and it was and you didn't expect Patrick Mahomes to get his.
I think the difference is neither of these teams are even close as good as those teams. I think
No.
although
defensive wise, I believe both are.
But they don't have the kind of I mean, I guess you do. I guess you have the best receiver in the NFL playing, but it should be a fun one. We've got some Pennsylvania ties too. The big 33 streak lives on with a barely, thanks to the Patriots rostering Yasir Durant on injured reserve, Emotep alum. Patriots also, I think, if they won, Cutsdown alum Craig Reynolds would receive a ring. So that's something. You have former Pitt quarterback Andrew Janoko on the sidelines for Seattle. So there's some PA connections for sure. But yeah, the big 33's got to be thanking the Patriots for that end of roster transaction at the beginning of this.
Yeah. Do you find, I don't know, in your running around town and this and that and the circles you run in, do you find that people root for that streak to stop?
I think
it's a cool thing. Cool.
I mean, if you really think about it, you take a second to think about it. Every single Super Bowl is crazy because it's especially that it's still continuing now that we're getting to a point where the top players aren't always playing in the big 33.
Right.
Like we're not getting every single elite player.
No, because everybody's jumping early. Right.
Yeah. And so I think at some point that's going to catch up to the big 33 and it won't extend. I tried to check if Stephon Diggs was in the big 33, but I believe he was in high school before Maryland was part of the game. So I don't think he ever played it. There also CJ Dupree is on the Patriots from Lakeland, I believe. So there's some more PA ties there. He did not play in the Big 33 though. But if you really think about it, every single Super Bowl is a crazy. It goes to show the power of PA high school football and the power how good of a job the Big 33 does. Like how good.
I think it's the longevity.
Yeah.
It's the fact that when was the first Super Bowl? 60 what?
65, I believe. 65, 66.
Yeah. 63, 64. So obviously the Big 33 dates all the way back to the late 50s.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the longevity and something like that's going that long, that makes it cool.
Yeah.
The history surrounding the Big 33.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that, guys like Namath and these guys who played in the earlier seasons.
They did really benefit from Brett Veach being in every Super Bowl for like 10 years.
Yeah. And as long as Matt Nagy keeps getting jobs, absolutely.
Yeah.
We still got that tied in. So
yeah, the coaching aspect definitely helps a lot. But you need.
Listen, I don't care if he's the kid that mixes the Gatorade. If he was on the Big 33 roster,
got to get Jahan Dotson on another good team this year too. He's another guy that can keep it going. Yeah, so
absolutely.
It's a cool. Yeah,
I tend not to take. Obviously, it's a huge prop situation. So I tend to just expect that Sam Darnold will complete 21 or more passes. Just throw that out there for you. I do expect both defenses to get a pick. I think both QBs will throw a pick. It's just my observation there. I don't care one poppy seed how many songs Bad Bunny sings at halftime because I will be watching the Puppy Bowl halftime show. Can't stand it. It's just not pageantry for me.
I don't
care who it is.
This might be controversial to some of our listeners, but I'm just excited to see how mad a guy singing songs in Spanish is going to make half of the population. Like, I just think it's going to be very funny that anyone cares that much about. Like, I'm with you. I'm going to the bathroom. I'll probably go to the bathroom, reordering some wings and looking up on the screen, being like, "Oh, look, there's there's a Gloria Estefan or something, and then I'll be done.
Exactly. That's the thing. Like if I'm paying $7,000 for a ticket, I'll sit there, if I'm in the stands and watch. But it just doesn't.
Well,
I don't
that's
care
my
who it
other
is.
thing. I don't care how rich you are, and I heard Bill Simmons talk about it, saying he's going to a Holy Cross dedication of the court to Bob Cousy over the Super Bowl. And his argument, and Bill Simmons makes what? They probably in 9 figures at least.
Yeah.
Probably has 9 figures. He said he's not spending that much money to go and potentially have one of the worst nights of his year when you
Right.
could just watch it on TV. And I can't really, if I'm a fan, I just don't think I would ever play that game. I'd much rather go to a Super Bowl party and watch on TV than ever go to the Super Bowl. Pay that much to go to the Super Bowl.
I just, and again, when you see these astronomical figures too, and, in the aftermarket and stuff, you can ask whatever you want. You know what I mean? But I don't know what face value is. I think face value is like $1,250, like $1,100. I don't know. I think it was around there the last couple of years. But it's just the hassle surrounding it, just to get in the damn place. You know, I mean, that's the biggest part: parking and this and that. I mean, look what the media have to do. The media are staying in San Francisco. They're being bussed out to Santa Clara, which is 45 minutes on a good, no traffic pattern, to get to like Media Row or Radio Row, whatever they call it. So it's a long process to cover these things too.
Man,
so
and speaking of the Big 33, I went on their site just to confirm Yasir Durant was the only player who made it. He is, and they've got a big picture of Yasir Durant right on the front page.
There you go.
Some other notable names last year. I think they had Brett Veach, AJ Woods, former Pitt Panther, on the Eagles, and John Dotson, Kevin Givens, Miles Sanders, Chad Henne, Frank Clark. Some of the other names. I didn't realize Brian Hoyer actually was a Big 33 player.
Yeah, so. Durant was one of the biggest human beings I've ever stood next to.
Yeah,
he's a mountain.
Got to get Darrelle Revis on a coaching staff or something. That'll help extend the streak as well.
Yeah, that'll help. All right, Dan. Let's run down a list of recent college commitments. We've been doing stories, recruiting briefs on everybody who's committed between December 20th, which was the original signing day. Now, that's the earliest one where all the kind of your blue chip guys all signed because they're all jumping to get on campus in January, so they can get up to speed a little quicker, get acclimated to school, get up to speed in spring practice and things like that. So even before they start their quote freshman season, they're already on campus by then. So they signed December 20th, and we had obviously a good, strong class there of guys. These are the guys who are maybe either holding out for a better situation or maybe looking for their first offer and got it, maybe had it narrowed down to 3 or 4 PSAC schools and then made their commitments. Those are the guys that can officially sign today. And this stretch, and there'll be another, sort of exodus in April too, for the rest. But we had a good haul here. We put up a post today. I put up a post. I think we had 16, 17, or 18 guys, mid-pen guys. And, of course, one of the PSAC programs, which is, I think, closest to us. Would that be correct? Yeah. Kutztown's a little further away than Shippensburg. But Shippensburg collected 2 or 3 really nice football players that are going to help those guys out.
Oh yeah, I mean, Shippensburg does such a great job around these areas, and they obviously landed Alex Irby too out of the portal.
Yep.
Brody Pines joined his brother Cade in there. Anybody in the Cumberland Valley football program will tell you how much that kid elevates your program. Just Jasper Sheps. I think we've spoken a lot about how solid of a football player he is. I would not be shocked if that guy ends up being an all PSAC level player at that school. Just
yep.
I don't know if he's going to play defensive back or wide receiver. That's kind of the fun thing about a lot of these commitments is you talk to these kids, they're like, I'm not sure I'm going to do literally whatever the coach needs me to do. These are the kids that are. I mean, every kid is grinding, right? It's not like the kids who are going to Division I is grinding, but these are the kids that are really just like, listen, I'm taking what I can get, and this is where I'm going to end up. And I think also something that needs to be said is pretty fortunate in PA. A lot of these PSAC schools are really solid programs
Yes.
to end up at. You guys have Shippensburg, you have Kutztown. These are programs that can develop guys that have sent guys to the NFL. So, even schools like Bloomsburg produced Jared Verse. So, when you end up here, I think we're seeing more and more how kind of, especially with the whole transfer portal stuff, you just need to end up at a place where a school believes in you and will give you reps. And if you're good enough, you'll find your way to where you need to go. So that's why we cover this so closely. I mean, if we could do it for every sport, we could, but it's really hard to track some of the other stuff. But these are huge moments for these football players, and for hopefully the start of something big for a lot of them.
Yeah, Shippensburg did a great job. West Liberty got a little pipeline going down to West Virginia now. Maddox Jarzinski was one of the latest guys, the wide receiver for Trinity, all-state caliber guy. And we had another one heading to West Liberty too, I believe, right? I believe there were two. Oh, yeah, Harrisburg lineman.
Oh, yeah.
Alfarfi.
Yeah, Alfarfi.
Yeah. Yep. They also picked Liberty. Matteo Cangelosi a couple weeks ago committed to Elon. Great spot for him. And, of course, Torrin Evans, quarterback, all-state quarterback for Susquehanna Township, headed to Kutztown. We talked a little about Kutztown last week. I believe they were in the D2 quarter. I think it was quarterfinals. They made it to this year. So they were the last PSAC program standing. But tremendous program there. But Coach Gallardi at Shippensburg obviously doing a great job. And just recently, just in the last couple of days, Will Coker, a linebacker at Cedar Cliff, headed to Duquesne. Love the campus. We talk about it all the time. And we just had one day in Drake Wagner, the lineman for Shippensburg, one of a couple going to Wheeling University. Offensive lineman for Ship. And we got another offensive lineman from Trinity, Robert Lewis, also heading to Wheeling University. So good haul. Like I said, the list is up now, currently on PennLive.
There are more that, if we've missed you, don't hesitate to reach out. We'll get a post up.
Shoot us an email.
Yeah.
We've written a lot of these. Dan has written a lot of these posts. Ramir Vaughn, our colleague, I wrote a couple up. So yeah, we want to hear from you. If you're not on the list and we need to put you on the list, shoot us an email and we'll take care of that situation. All right, Dan, let's move on. A couple of things going on too still. Mr. PA football. I will say this, it's a laborious process. But and they usually typically, I believe it's like late May, mid to late May. I'm sorry, mid to late March, not May, March. Where Mr. PA football for the current season is named. We're down to 25 finalists. Voting is now open. You can go to MrPAfootball.com. The folks at SportsRecruiters.com host that, sponsor that event. It dates back to 2009. And you can go on right now and vote for the 10 finalists. Trim the list from 25 to 10. We've got a bunch of mid-pen guys that are still in the mix in the large school category, which is 4A, 5A, and 6A, and a couple in the small school, which is 1 through 3A. Kevin Brown, the lineman for Harrisburg, obviously at his next destination already. Elias Cope, wide receiver at Harrisburg, is there. Another Harrisburg guy is Simon Mickens, the running back and defensive end. All three of those are in that tremendous 25 group. We mentioned Torrin Evans from Susquehanna Township. He is on there, as well as running back Nazir Jones-Davis from McDevitt is also in that 25 list. A couple other guys, Deontay Sheffy from State College, the running back, tremendous athlete, also in that for the large school. Small school, we got a couple of guys, familiar names, Angel Luciano, the linebacker / athlete from Steel High, and of course Marcus Yeager, who was our defensive player of the year from Trinity. They are both on the small school, Mr. PA football, in the running for that. Obviously, when you look down these lists, there is a post up. I put a post up yesterday on PennLive with everybody who's still in the running for these awards. It is stacked to the gills, obviously. Names like Joey O'Brien, which we've mentioned forever, Gavin Sidwar, Braxton Lakatos for Northwestern Lehigh. A couple of Northwestern Lehigh guys on there. 2A Player of the Year, Jules Johnson, the running back from Farrell, is on there. So there are a lot of marquee names still vying for this award too. And Dan, we also have the lineman, Mr. PA Lineman of the Year, and they are down to 10. So you can go on and vote as fans. It's broken into 3 different people. There's a selection committee who votes, media vote, and of course fans vote. So 1/3 each of those, and then you get your finalists. So you're breaking it down to 5 finalists now. Kevin Brown is on that list in big school, as well as Yender Mack from Susquehanna County, Tyler Merrill from Cumberland Valley, and of course Colin Stair from Mechanicsburg. They are among the 10 in the small school. We've only got Marcus Yeager in the small school category, which again, loaded to the gills.
Yeah,
absolutely loaded. What do you think about some of those guys, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, this is probably one of our better. Every senior class kind of has its own merits, everything, but this is one of the more loaded senior football classes we've had in a while. That lineman group is so impressive. We've talked about it plenty of times, but to end up with 4 Division I linemen, I guess 5 if you count Marcus as a defensive lineman, is pretty special. I'd be hard pressed to say there was a better lineman in high school this year than Kevin Brown. So if I would have to pick one there, he'd be my pick. But just overall players, it was just a banner year. You have the Joey O'Brien, Gavin Sidward debate we've had before. And yeah, just another great award that we give out. I think last year Josh Smith from Mechanicsburg was he district the Mid-Penn's only winner of an award. Yeah. So I imagine the Mid-Penn will bring home at least something this year.
Well, Ty Salazar was a winner.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Big Mid-Penn, so yeah.
I guess that's true. That's sort of like State College is almost like it's like the continental Big Ten, and then the rest of the Big Ten.
It's like Alaska.
The Mid-Penn.
Part of us, but it's up there.
Yeah, State College is Alaska, Altoona's Hawaii. So
Altoona would never consider Hawaii.
maybe the polar opposite of Hawaii, but for this they'll have to say.
Yeah, that's about right. Maybe Antarctica.
Yeah,
but not Hawaii. No. Yeah. All right. So Dan, we're gonna finish up here with the subject that caught our interest for news last week. You had something up about the Reese's decision by Alabama to split their football championship. Well, to split their sports championships. It's not just a football thing, but 13-2 vote. The Alabama High School Athletic Association, which is their PIAA, approved a proposal that will separate public and private schools into different championship paths in football. Okay. This will begin this season, 2026-27. So they've got sort of all their ducks in a row. I don't know, maybe they're still working out brackets or things like that, but so right now they're going to have 6 public school champions and they're going to have 2 private school champions, rather than run those teams together. Why is this important to Pennsylvania? Well, this situation in Alabama has been brewing, just like it's been brewing in Pennsylvania for years and years and years. It tends to pop up every 4 to 5 years, maybe. There's a little bit of an uprising, and it really began not as a football issue, really. It began as a basketball issue, with some of these strongholds in Philadelphia claiming, basketball titles, state titles in the highest classifications. Well, even the mid classifications, because back then, prior to 2016, we had 4 classes. Your Newman Goretti's of the world, they're 2A. So it was really a basketball issue. And then when St. Joe's Prep came onto the scene football-wise, basically around 2010, 2009-ish, you had teams like Archbishop Wood that were dominating, and St. Joe's Prep obviously is still the most dominant 6A program that we have. Now, LaSalle College obviously took that reins this year, took out the Hawks, and obviously wound up winning a state title in 6A. But this situation in Alabama is very similar to what Pennsylvania has been going through, and they have gone through these, for lack of a better word, uprisings on how these things should be, how our playoffs should be played out in football. It's interesting because even though we may hold about 100, I think it's right around 140 more high school football programs. I've done some digging into the numbers, and there will be a post up on PennLive by the time this makes the airwaves on how Pennsylvania may sort of learn a little something about this, if this would ever come to fruition in Pennsylvania. I'm not saying this should come to fruition. I'm not backing it one way or the other, but it's an interesting sort of test subject on a state that's made this aggressive move. And I think most people would not figure that very few states in the country have separate for public and private. Very few. I believe there's 7 now with the addition of Alabama. That's a pretty low number. So what's your take on the recent news, Dan? And, just what are your general thoughts about it?
Yeah, I mean, anytime this happens, you know what the discussion is going to be. It's going to be, when is this coming to PA, right? And I think we've talked about before, the states kind of PA looks to as its comparisons. It's not Alabama, right? It's Indiana, it's Ohio, those schools,
Right.
those states. But Alabama is a football obsessed state, which is, I think you could classify Pennsylvania as the same. You could classify it. I mean, I think there are different levels of, there are different kind of demographics and things like that, but similar size state. I think Pennsylvania has a little bit more metro areas than Alabama does, but there's enough of a sort of overlap of kind of how things operate where you can at least look at it and be like, would this work here? I am in favor of anything that kind of helps even playing fields if it's done in a perfect way. And I think we were discussing about this earlier. Right now, I don't think that there's, if you just said right now, all the PIA schools, private schools play private schools, public schools play public schools, I just don't think that does the trick. And one of the reasons is because you still have to separate, like Alabama did, by school size for private schools. And we don't have that many big private schools. And we would, I think the big thing that would need to happen to make this make sense is to have the Interac on board, which for those who aren't attuned, the Interac is a school. Is the Interac almost entirely suburban Philadelphia?
Yes.
Yeah. So private schools in suburban Philadelphia, there's some of the cream of the crop, like Malvern Prep, Penn Charter, Germantown Friends, Germantown Academy, schools like that, they produce a lot of football talent, Malvern Prep and Penn Charter in particular. Penn Charter, obviously, the alma mater of Matt Ryan, Mike McGlinchey. Malvern Prep has been sending kids to top college programs for years. If you added those schools, all of a sudden that big school division in football is looking really juicy. And Malvern Prep plays against teams like St. Joe's Prep during the regular season, so it makes sense. But without that, I think you did the math. There's 3 6A big private schools, and then there would be a couple more in 5A. It would just be a tournament where everyone gets in, right?
Yes, and it would just literally be a 3-week tournament.
Yeah.
If the Interac was not absorbed into the PIAA, or at least maybe not even absorbed in, but played under the PIAA platform.
Yeah.
Which is problematic in its own right.
Yeah.
Because they accept, 5th-year guys who reclassified, guys who haven't, basically it's the equivalent of like a grad season. So there's logistics there to sort out. But if you did not include Interact, you'd essentially have a 3-week playoff system for classes 4, 5, and 6. Now, you wouldn't want to dip below. You wouldn't want to pull 3A into that large school private class. You would want to keep them for the reasons that the argument suggests: safety, guys being, size of school, enrollment, things like that. So you wouldn't want to dip below 4A.
And we can just look at it like from our perspective. We covered Trinity football, and they're a great program.
Right.
Them playing St. Joe's Prep in a playoff. I mean, I guess Trinity's too, but like still, like it's similar like type argument. It's like a school like similar to Trinity playing against a school like St. Joe's Prep would not be.
You could have several 3As, okay, which based on classification, this is not taking in competitive balance or where they're, like McDevitt being forced up. This is based simply on enrollment and what these schools are, okay? Bishop McDevitt over the next 2-year cycles, according to enrollment, is 3A, okay? You could put that. They could play in that large school, obviously. Or an Archbishop Wood could. They're 3A, according to enrollment. So you would have teams, even teams like, Pope John Paul II are 4A. This is for the next 2-year cycle based on enrollment. You would only have 11 teams in 4A, 5A, and 6A in your private large school division. That's it. 11. Now, your small school would be fine. You can make that work at 33. But I don't think, what people may fail to realize is just how few of these ultimately private schools there are. So it just would not work.
It might work better for basketball than it would for football.
It would be completely different for basketball.
Yeah.
Basketball, you can move the numbers. It would actually work in basketball because you would bring in a lot of those Philadelphia charter schools and things like that. You could actually make that work.
So would Bishop McDevitt under an enrollment, would they be a small school in this scenario?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's where things get a little complicated. That some schools, like, because Bishop McDevitt, for all intents and purposes, I think as a football program, they've kind of built themselves up into, they are a big school football program and a small school enrollment, right?
Right.
So
yeah, and what Alabama did basically, and again, the reason they have, you mentioned the lack of large school in Pennsylvania for privates. That's completely opposite in Alabama. Who have 7 classes currently. Yeah. They play 7A. So what they did was they eliminated 7A completely and made 6A into a super class.
Yep.
In Publix, and just basically took the top 32 biggest enrollments that are not private and put them in that super class. They're not calling it a super class, but that's essentially what it was.
I wish they'd call it a super class.
But what the interesting part about this is, when they were deciding to expand in 2016, and I had lobbied that I believed at that time that the best scenario for Pennsylvania was 5 classes with 5A being a super class. That way you still had roughly 110 to 120 schools in 4A, 3A, 2A, and 1A. It was almost evenly spaced. You took the top 24, 32, whatever you wanted to make it, in that 5A being that super class, including your privates, which would roll into that if you did not split. And that was the first scenario that was kicked out of the decision. So now it almost seems like it's not quite identical because, like I said, the logistics are different in Alabama. There's 140. We have 140 more schools that play football, but them being top heavy in 6A and 5A programs, that's not the case with us. Yeah. So the logistics for working out a small school private would work.
Yeah,
it would. You'd still need to, you'd still need to reconfigure things, but it does not seem like it would work in large school. It just doesn't. I mean, I don't know where you can't pull extra private schools. You know what I mean? To join the mix. So, but at the very least, I believe it is a good test subject to see how Alabama operates under the next couple of years and see how it works out for them. They're pretty evenly spaced, like our people wanted, like the PIAA board wanted. They wanted even, roughly, 95 to 100 teams. I think 5A may be the only one that's late 80s, maybe 90 schools. So you would still have that roughly around 65, 70, 75 schools in each class in the public. So that would work. But there are some logistical challenges. So how close are we to actually maybe this coming up to a vote again? I don't think we're still very close. I mean, the House bill is still stuck. It's been, I don't know, 9 months now, roughly 9 months, that this House bill by Senator Conklin, or State Rep Conklin, is still in the House waiting for, approval or denial, whatever they do. And I just don't think we're any closer than we were. And again, we don't have a dog in the fight. We're not, we're not promoting one way or the other. We just think it's an interesting test subject now that Alabama has made the decision to split.
Yeah,
because they've gone through the same argument for years and years, just like we have.
Yeah, I think the question's always going to be what does it mean when it happens? How are people going to view the championships and things like that? It's definitely going to be super interesting to watch. Obviously, we have a sister paper now, a sister site in Alabama.com. So I'm sure we'll be following their coverage along. You should too. I mean, if you want to check it out, I'm sure there'll be coverage of how that is operating throughout the year on Alabama.com, and it will. I imagine if it goes well and it's received well, it's only going to be a bullet in the holster for this bill and the supporters in PA.
Yeah, because every sort of thing, we always say it trickles down. Well, other sports governing bodies, follow, go through other looks, and they go through other states, and they pick what they need and what they think fits best for them. I mean, we do it, all the time. I've talked ad nauseum with, former executive director Bob Lombardi about, Indiana was sort of the driving force behind this. The competitive balance form came out of looking at what other states were doing, to kind of balance things out a little bit more. You get promoted, you win 2 state titles in a row. Okay, you get bounced up. There's always glitches to these things. There's always, how should I say, not setbacks, but there's always logistical things that could be done better. But I think the fact that the competitive balance form is in place has leveled the playing field a little bit more than a complete split. So I will say that, and I think we'll end on that.
Yeah.
So anyway, you can check out the report on PennLive.com. Obviously, check out all the recruiting stuff that's up. Dan's got a bunch of recruiting briefs on there. I've got a couple. Ramir has a couple. And soon enough, we'll be talking about Big 33. That announcement comes roughly in about 10 days, I think. There's a coaches clinic that is taking place in Camp Hill in about 10 days, and they plan on releasing the Pennsylvania roster, so that'll be exciting. And then we'll talk more football when we get back. Dan, appreciate your time. Best of luck to your Pats.
Let's go.
Go Patriots.
Yeah.
All right, guys, enjoy the Super Bowl. We will check you out next week.